Good morning, scientists of the world. Today, Dmitri and I want to start our chapter number 24 of Lady Sophie Tiene Química with few questions. Who is Jacob Berzelius? Why is he important for the chemistry world? Could he change the world and give tools able to improve our life? Well, we love to hear about what you know about Jacob Berzelius in our comment sections. To start, Jacob Berzelius was one of the founders of the modern chemistry. He was the first person to measure accurate atomic weight for the elements, which helped to confirm Dalton's atomic theory and was the basic Mendeleev periodic table. He also discovered three chemical elements: cerium, thorium, and selenium, and also devised the modern method by which one or two letters are used to symbolize the elements. He was really important. He identified and named the phenomenon of catalysis and described how chemical bonds can be formed by electrostatic attraction. Norway call it ionic bonding.
Jens Jacob Berzelius was born on August 20, 1779 in Sweden. Berzelius chose to study medicine at Uppsala because it matched his interests. Uppsala had one of the strongest chemistry departments in the world, and chemistry was one of the first courses taught to medical students. Berzelius was fascinated by the subject and began performing experiments in a closet in his room. He tried to repeat the experiment Carl Scheele had carried out in Uppsala 2 decades earlier, when Scheele discovered oxygen. When Alessandro Volta invented the electric battery in 1800, Berzelius quickly constructed one for his own enjoyment. He graduated as a physician in 1802, with a doctoral thesis examining the effects of electricity on human conditions, including varicose ulcers and paralysis.
And you will wonder how Berzelius began in chemistry. Although Berzelius was now a man of medicine, his heart pulled him in the direction of chemistry. He worked without pay helping one of the university's pharmacy professors. He learned the skills of glass blowing, which later in his career allowed him to prepare precisely the glass apparatus he needed in all his experiments. In exchange for meals, he became a mineral water analyst for Wheeler Hisinger, a mine owner. Together, between 1803 and 1805, Berzelius and Hessinger carried out some of the earliest experiments with battery, splitting salts dissolved in water into more elementary components, with acids going on the one electric pole while alkalines going to the opposite pole. In 1803, Berzelius and Hessinger analyzed a rather uncommon mineral of tungsten and discovered it containing a previous unknown metallic element. They decided to call the new element cerium in honor of the dwarf planet Ceres, which Giuseppe Piazzi has discovered in January 1801. In 1808, Berzelius discovered that lactic acid, previously discovered in milk, is also present in muscle tissue. Later, he discovered lactic acid has two optical isomers.
In 1808, John Dalton published what we now call Dalton's Law in his book A New System of Chemical Philosophy. He explained his belief that matter exists as atoms, stating that atoms of different elements have different masses. Berzelius was doubtful about Dalton's theory, but recognized how fundamentally important to chemistry it would be if it were true. Dalton's theory was unproven. The major stumbling block was that Dalton had been unable to measure atomic weights accurately, utilizing a number of ingenious methods of his own, and recent discoveries made by other chemists, such as Dulong and Petit's law, and Alhard Mitscherlich's discovery of isomorphism in 1826. Berzelius published a new table of atomic weights. Even from today's perspective, the accuracy of Berzelius's atomic weights is impressive. Berzelius's atomic weights led to a much wider acceptance of Dalton's atomic theory, and were the basis of Dmitri Mendeleev's periodic table in 1869.
It's incredible how many valuable things for chemistry Berzelius did. Do you think the story ends here? No! Berzelius discovered thorium in 1815 and working with Johann Grahn discovered selenium in 1817. At the same time, Johann Haverson discovered lithium in Berzelius' laboratory. In 1824, Berzelius produced the first silicon of sufficient purity to determine his properties. It's incredible how many questions are coming on. This is very valuable. How did the nomenclature system for all the elements of the periodic table come to be? That is a great question, and we got to answer now. When they wrote about their work, scientists has been using a large variety and different names and different pictorial methods to identify elements and compounds. The elements had different names depending on the native language of the scientists involved. There was no consistent approach. But Berzelius devised the system we now use, including one or more letters to represent the elements. For example, the first element he discovered, cerium, is shown as Ce. The symbol were chosen based on the element name in Latin.
Berzelius discovered and named the phenomenon of catalysis, writing about it in 1835. And I want you to listen to the valuable contribution that Berzelius is going to give us.
The agent causing the conversion of substances does not participate in the new compounds formed, but remains unchanged, thus operating by means of an internal power, the nature of which is still unknown.
Berzelius's work with batteries led him to believe chemical bonds were made when a positively charged ion attracted a negatively charged ion through electrostatic attraction. Today we call this type of chemical bond an ionic bond. However, Berzelius did not realize that more than one type of chemical bond could exist. So he could not explain how two identical hydrogen atoms could come together to form a molecule of H2. In fact, this explanation had to wait until 1916, when Gilbert Lewis proposed that atoms could share electrons to form a covalent bond, rather than exchange them to form an ionic bond. What a pleasure was speak about a great and valuable scientist. You discovered and developed a lot of fundamental information for the chemistry world.
Yes, Dmitri, I am really happy that we spoke today about Jacob Berzelius. All of you scientists of the world are more than welcome to leave your wonderful comments in our section. We are really careful to see them all and answer all your questions. Thank you for following us. See you.